Yeah, good morning. This is Bang Bang Ray Hill. Please press the like button and subscribe. I come from a place called Acton in West London. I hope a lot of people are watching this know Acton. Anyway, I'm talking about people that live in Acton, people that everyone's on about South London, North London, and all that. But so let me talk to you about people in West London. Where I come from, Acton was a really area, really hard area. I mean, some really nasty, naughty people down there. Like they tell you about them. There was a pub there was three pubs. There was the Crown, there was the Duck, and there was the Anchor. The worst pub out of the lot of them was the Anchor. I was a young kid, what, 15, 16, come out of Borstal, come out of my YPs and places like that. And I never used to drink. I didn't even drink. I was one of them places, everybody's got them people where they come from that just train, that don't drink, just train, runs, fights, boxes, street, there's fights all the time, don't stop fighting, yeah? Well, I'm one of them people. I'm one of them people that don't drink. When I go to a pub, I don't drink because I don't like to drink. Because I always feel that I'm on offer, so I like to be the one that's gonna explode, yeah. And I like to be the one that's aware of everything around me, yeah. But as a pub, I used to look after clubs in Acton, as well, Ealing, all around them areas. But in the pub where I come from, Acton, called the Anchor, there was people down there, families down there that were so dangerous. You had the Smiths, you had Nicky Smith, his brothers, you had the Hardings, you had George Harding, Johnny Harding, Charlie Harding, Bimbo Harding, Alan Harding. Listen, let me tell you something. That family was really, really dangerous. I'm on about really dangerous. George Harding and Johnny Harding, I should imagine they was the most dangerous ones out of them. They was always carrying weapons, knives, guns, anything. You know what I mean? They was really dangerous people. You wouldn't muck about with them family. You know what I mean? You'd know that they couldn't hold their hands up as such, yeah, but there's very dangerous people with anything in their hands, which a lot of people are, but a lot of people don't use those things. You know what I mean? They're too frightened, this, that, and the other. But they say, yeah, I'll stab it to death, but they don't. You know. Then you had the Williamses. Danny Williams was my best pal. Danny. You had Tony Williams. You had Arthur Williams. You had Johnny Williams. Another really dangerous family. Tony Williams was the one out of the family that could fight. He was the fighter out of the family. He's like me. He didn't really drink that much. He was always training, always running around. Danny Williams. Danny Williams was my mate. Danny was a dangerous person. He was like George Yard, John Yard. He would pull out something. He would stab it to death. He's done Portland Borstal. I'm not quite sure if Johnny Harding done Portland Borstal or George. There was Dennis Harding might have done it. Bimbo, the old man. They was all dangerous people anyway. Then you had my mate Terry Haley, his dad Dennis. Dennis Haley was a nasty person in lots of ways. He was a gangster. They all had big demolition companies. They was all in charge of big demolition companies. Them people that run demolition companies in them days was really, really hard people. People you had to watch out for. They didn't muck about. I mean, they got in a pub. Well, they started work about 5, 6 o'clock in the morning. They'd work till 5, 6 o'clock in the evening. Go straight down the pub, straight down the Anchor. They come out there at 11 o'clock, go home, have a sleep, have a bath or whatever they've got to do, and then go back to work. Them people were 24/7, work, but dangerous people. You don't want to muck about with them. Dennis Haley didn't want to muck about with him, mate. Don't say a lot, don't have to say a lot. Dangerous man, and could have it. Yeah, he could have a fight. I remember working him down at the airport. We were smashing up planes, and around the screen, the windscreen of the plane is gold. Yeah, is gold leaf. I mean, everybody wants to go for that. But a lot of times, the airport used to take the windscreen out of the plane and take the gold out. But lots of times it didn't. So the first thing you're going to go for is that. But Dennis, he didn't muck about with it, mate. If he said, "Listen, leave that. That's mine," you left it because you knew. I mean, he was a very, very hard man. There's some people working with him. Snowy, Snowy, everybody around Acton at that time knows Snowy. Very dangerous man. They believed they killed him because he was so dangerous. I mean, you couldn't fight him, mate. He was like an animal. I mean, he was an animal. He was an old Goldstream guardsman. Not that old, really, but could really have it. Could really fight. I mean, fists, anything in his hand, he could fight. I mean, they reckon they killed him because he became too dangerous. They reckon they chucked him down a lift shaft on a demolition site. They reckon he did. They reckon they found him in the morning dead at the bottom. But they said he just tripped and fell, which I can't believe that ever happened. Maybe he was looking over and they pushed him in because he was too dangerous. He could never, I mean, he was one of them people that you didn't feel comfortable with, you know what I mean? Any time he would explode, glass, bottles, anything he would hit with. So he was a very dangerous man. Nicky Smith, the Smith family. Nicky Smith, me and Nicky must have had 15 fights. I've always knocked Nicky out. 15 out of 15, I've knocked him out. He always comes back. Nicky, someone went in the pub and blew up the pub in the Anchor. Just shot it to pieces. Everybody's got a big point at Nicky, but no one wants to say it. I ain't going to say it because it's not for me to say, yeah. But I remember there was a big fight in there when it was modernised, a big fight, and one of the Smiths, I'm not saying again who it was, jumped on someone's back and stabbed him with a bayonet. The bayonet went straight through this part of his shoulder, went straight in, mate, pulled it out, and they reckon there was blood, I mean thick congealed blood all over the floor. I wasn't there. More like he was in prison, more like my YP or whatever. I was always in prison. But what I used to do, Jackie Lane, I'm another one. Jackie Lane, still alive today. Very dangerous man, Jack. I mean, he was a top man. He used to go, I mean, I used to see him and a guy called Tommy Green. I'll tell you more about Tommy Green later. Him and Tommy Green used to get on top of chimney stacks and places like that, yeah, and knock them down brick at a time with a mattock, yeah. And I see them, unbelievable, like you get 200-300 foot up in the air, you know what I mean? Get the extension on the jib of a crane and they go up there, yeah. Mate, I see them sitting on top of a chimney stack. Because on top of the chimney stack you've got a bit of cast iron, which is about an inch thick, goes round the top of the stack, and there they are smashing it with sledgehammers and mattocks, yeah. And then they're sitting on it, having cigarettes, took the flask up as well, and having a cup of tea. You're on about 200 or 300 foot up in the air. Do you know what I mean? I mean, that's some sort of people. No scaffolding around them, mate. In them days, no scaffolding. It was all done by just ropes, big hole in the bottom, you know, big hole in the bottom, not the bricks in. It comes out, and I've seen bad jobs. You know what I mean? The best. I mean, there was fantastic cutters. They could cut anything with a torch, you know, air and gas torch, gas and air torch, and then propane, and all, they was mustard at it, and they was really good. Tommy Green, Tommy Green's still away. I think he got something like 28 years life, 28 years. Joey Rouse, and I don't like to sort of like say too much about it, but he done some terrible things, Tommy, to Joey Rouse, and Tommy Green was very dangerous. He got on the crack. You know, I know what crack's about because I've been on it, and it does make you a very dangerous person. You know, you don't realise what you're doing. You can kill anybody and not even fucking realise it. You know, that's what drugs are like, them sort of drugs anyway. Anyway, Tommy was a very dangerous man. Freddie, his brother, Freddie Green, another one. Freddie, I grew up with Freddie's kids. We were both the same age. I think he's in the Isle of Wight. He went to the Isle of Wight with a guy called Gary Jakeman and Richard McNeil. Them two, Gary Jakeman, Freddie Green, good fight, mate. We was all kids, same age. Gary was like me. Gary would fight. I mean, he could fight, Gary Jakeman. Old man, he died of lung cancer, I believe. He could fight, Gary. I mean, all his family can fight. There's Philip Jakeman. I think there's Gary Jakeman. There's Gary, Philip, and Peter Jakeman. Peter, is it Peter? I'm not quite. Listen, I'm terrible with names. If you're watching this, I think if you're watching this, you know that I get mixed up with names. Yeah, but it is. I think it's one's Philip and one's Peter. I'm not quite sure, but anyway. And their dad, Johnny Jakeman, he could really have it. He was a short guy, always wore glasses, but could really have it, Johnny Jakeman. He lived down a place called Vincent Road in Acton. Vincent Road was a well-known bad road in South Acton. Everybody down Vincent Road could have it, yeah? There was all dangerous people who could really have it. I mean, everybody. I'm on about from mums to dads to aunties and uncles. They all live down there, big families, and they can all fight. It's like a gypsy thing, really, you know. And then you go back to the Anchor. You got a guy called Dave Brayford. I mean, everybody must know Dave Brayford. As you're even watching this now, people must know Dave Brayford. Dave Brayford, big demolition worker. Same as Dennis Haley, but Brayford was a bit more wicked than Dennis. Dennis Haley didn't say a lot, but Brayford was always shouting about. I mean, no one, as far as I'm concerned, who was in Anchor at that time would ever well with him, mate. I think he was the governor of the pub, Dave Brayford. Everybody was petrified of him. Big man, big man. Liked to drink, looked after his men. You didn't muck about with Dave. I mean, you would get knocked out. I mean, Dave would knock you out if you got too much of it. Pardon me, if you become too much of a flash, Dave would knock your spark out. I see Dave running with 2 propane bottles, one under each arm, running with him. You know, I'm not about running to do a job, to get to a job. I worked with Dave for about, 3 months, and I was petrified. I don't like heights. I'm petrified of heights, but even if I'm petrified, I still go to work on it, you know what I mean? And Dave, a couple of times, had me go up to the gym, up to a great big building, smashing. And I was so petrified one day, I held on to the cable of the crane, and it was all smashed up, and all the cables went through my hand, went through to the other side, and get me down out of it. I couldn't stand up, it was too high, you know what I mean? Smashing big sledgehammers and matics, yeah. So get me down, do the job, because I can't handle the job. But I did stay for him for about 3 or 4 months, I think. I mean, there was people I mean, there's names that I forget, but the names I do remember, the names, because they were such wicked people, you know what I mean? They could really have it. But I've seen loads of fights. I mean, I used to see them outside, sitting on the tables having a drink, and I'd be across the road, yeah, running with all the gear on, the boots and everything, you know what I mean? Running, maybe I've done 5 mile, 10 mile, 8 mile, whatever it is, around the country park, coming back, running. Everybody was like, whoa, take the piss out of me. But it's like everything, isn't it? I'm getting 100% fit, 100% strong, and anybody in that pub at that time, I fancied that I could bash up, you know what I mean? Even though the Hardings and Danny Williams and that little firm would stab me up, I still think I was a better man, yeah? I mean, Johnny Harding, Alan Harding, Charlie Harding, George Harding, Bimbo Harding, Dennis Harding, that's a big family. That's a big family. From Bimbo, I think Bimbo was the old man. Dennis was the next one up, I think, I'm not quite sure. You got George, Charlie, John, Dennis. I mean, the proper family, mate. Very dangerous family. Alan. I mean, Alan Harding was a really thick set one, Alan. He could have it, Alan. He'd stab you up, eyes are winking. Johnny Harding. John. I mean, I always remember John. He had a big Beatles haircut, you know what I mean? And he was dangerous, John. John's more likely watching this and listening to this now. He was a very dangerous man, Johnny Harding, and I should imagine he still is today, you know. George, same with George. George done something terrible, but I'm not going to say what it is on the phone because it's not for me to say. Yeah, it's a family. It's a family. Yeah, I'm talking about how they was in them days. Yeah, and they were bad people. I mean, I've got to say it. You know, I remember running down BOLO Road where the ANCOR is. Yeah, and Nicky Smith. Forget the guy's name now. Nicky Smith. There's a guy who got a bit leery with Nicky Smith. Over his sister, and he pulled a big baseball bat out of his car to bash Nicky Smith up. And what he should have done was hit Nicky Smith with it, but he didn't. And Nicky was too quick, took the baseball bat off him. He smashed his head to pulp. He didn't kill him. He smashed his head to pulp, mate. Nicky Smith was, I think, one of the most dangerous men I've ever seen. Known. I mean, he was one of the most dangerous man. Me and him used to fight all the time. I mean, it's impossible. Me and him, I used to knock him out every time we had a fight. Every time. He smashed me up with a car. He was mini minor. He'd hit me across the head with baseball bats. He's done me with lumps of lead across the head. He's done me with bottles. He stabbed me up. He's done me with this. He's done me with that. He always done me with something. Lumps of wood. Anything he can get his hands on, he done it. I mean, I remember the first time me and him ever had a fight. It was in a place called Priory Youth Centre. That was one of the first places I was as a kid that I was training down there on the weights and also on the bag, punching the bag about. And I was so into my fitness, yeah. And someone came up to me and said to me, "Listen, there's a guy down there called Nicky Smith. He wants to see you, mate." I went, "What?" He said he wants to see you. I knew that I didn't really know him. I've heard of him, but didn't know him as such. I said, "Yeah, all right, come down a minute." And I was on the bag, punching the bag about. So I walked down there, and there he was, leery as anything. "What you got to say about me?" I said, "I said nothing about you, mate." Crash, straight across the head with a bottle. Guinness, the only old big Guinness bottles. I mean, it was thick glass, yeah. Smashed me across the head. My old legs went. I went whoop, bang, hit him on the chin, whang, down he went like a sack of potatoes, yeah. I rushed back into the to have a shower. Or no, I didn't even have a shower, shit myself, yeah. Didn't even have a shower or nothing like that. Put my clothes back on. I got up and he'd gone. Yeah. So I thought, right, get outside, go outside and get home, yeah. Walking home, who comes behind me? Nicky. Nicky hits me across here with a big brick. Knocks me on the floor, kicks me in the face and runs off, yeah. And I see him about 3 days later, jumps up, whoop, bang, done him again, knocked him out again, you know. That is what it was. 24/7, me and Nicky were fighting. Nicky be watching this. I love him to death now. I mean, I see him in the scrubs. I think he just got a recall. He was doing a life. I think he was doing a life. I mean, I've known Nicky to drive down the motorway, knock the back screen out of his motor and fire at the old bill. That's what it was like. Fucking dangerous nutcase. Nutcase, mate. You know, just complete nutcase, but dangerous, you know. And when I see him in the scrubs, I was coming down the stairs. I don't know if it was my enema. I think it was maybe being transferred, or it's the end of my sentence, and I was being released shortly. And Nicky was down the bottom coming up, and I was going down, and we hit each other's faces, mate. And do you know what? First time, you know, I got tears coming in old eyes, mate. And he looks at me, and tears in his eyes, we just cuddle each other, kiss each other like kiss each other, and that you do, you know. And you know, it was like that. You know what I mean? All right, mate, how you going? And they said, "Well, I've just got a recall, mate." I was gutted for you, bruv. I'm gutted for you, you know. Me go back a long way, me and Nicky. I mean, I've got big respect for him, you know. Big respect. I mean, going the ANCOR, I was with a guy called Danny Williams. Me and Danny Williams was very close. I mean, we was like brothers. I mean, 24/7, we was together. You know, like I am with this Terry now. He's like same things like with Danny, but very close. I mean, I've been with Danny about 3 or 4 years, and any fights, I mean, me and Danny, the funniest thing I had, people must remember, even today, know a club called Wasps Rugby Firm. I think they're rugby union, players, the Wasps. And there was a place in Acton, next to Acton bus station called Delhi's. I don't know if it's still there. It was a Chinese restaurant. Food in there was just unbelievable. Really, I mean, the food was just too much. Beautiful food, yeah. Me and Danny had been down the Anchor. Danny had a few drinks. I don't drink, so I wasn't pissed. I might have had a Guinness with a bit of black currant in it, and that would last me all night, you know. And Danny was a bit tipsy, as he was, and he could have a fight. Very dangerous man, Danny Williams. I know he'd be watching me, and me and him fell out with something so stupid, it was ridiculous, but it is what it is, and Danny just pushed me aside as if he'd never even known me, yeah. But I love Danny, always loved Danny Williams. Anyway, me and Danny went into to Delhi's and for something to eat. We used to go there most Friday nights or Saturday nights, and there was about, what, 15 guys, 14 guys in there, shouting about. I mean, really shouting about, you know, over the top. And Delhi, could see Delhi got the one of them, they was pissed at her, no? And Delhi was a bit upset about it. She come after Danny. Danny, please help me. These people making noise all night long. This, that, and the other. That was a bit of good Chinese, wasn't it? Anyway, Danny went, okay. Danny was pissed, so Danny walked out. Wait, do yourself a favour, mate. Keep your noise down. You know what I mean? This ain't a pub. It's a restaurant. You know what I mean? Be quiet. Worst thing I ever said. was rugby fucking team, you know what I mean? Come on, you can't, ridiculous. And I mean, I was a good fighter, you know what I mean? You know, and you got some of these props stood up. There was about 6'3", 6'4", you know, not props, second rows and all that, and the props are little short guys, 5'10", massive, fucking big people, you know, coming over, ping, couple of pings here, couple of left hooks here, they was bowling over, yeah. But listen, in the end, me and Danny was trying to get out of the pub, was trying to get out of Delhi's, a restaurant, we was trying to get out, and they was pulling us back. They was pulling us back, you know what I mean? Honestly, they was pulling us back. God save the Queen. God save the Queen. Just down the road, the police station. She must have phoned the police. They saved our lives. Seriously. They come in, busted the place in. But went mad, buckled them all up, buckled me and Danny up as well. Took us to Acton police station. We was in there like for a couple of 3 hours. They let us go, let everybody go just to calm down, you know, cool down. But don't fall out with a rugby team, especially when there's about 11, 12, there's a load of them, you know what I mean? So don't fall out with a rugby team. That always plays on my thing, on my memories. That rugby we got pulled together with a rugby team, yeah. But anyway, me and Danny was very close, very close. I mean, any fights together, back to back, it was a good fight, mate. Very good fight, me and Danny together, and. Danny had got a big company in South Acton Timber. I think his son runs it now, and his daughter Dina. Danny, I'm not quite sure. And Danny now lives in Spain. I think he's got a couple of clubs in Spain. He's not invited me over. I don't know why. I mean, we go back a long way. He'd want to drown me out there, knowing Danny. But Arthur Williams, he's got a club out there. Johnny Williams, he's also got a club out there. I mean, they've took over certain parts of the island. You know, proper people. I think Tony is the only one. Tony Williams is still in England, London, and Tony is a couple of times tried to get hold of me. I mean, me and Tony years ago, I think it was in Paddington, somewhere in Paddington. We've done a big film. We've done a film, extras in the film. Me and Tony got in a boxing ring and boxed together. I mean, Tony was a lot lighter than me, but it was for a film. I'd love to get all of that video. Tony's also on my video called Box On at Acton Town Hall. Tony was a good fighter. Tony, I'm not quite sure if he fought Danny Chippendale or he either fought Danny Chippendale or Colombo. I'm not quite sure, yeah. But I know he fought one of them, and Tony can have it, mate. I like Tony Williams. I like Tony, if you're watching this, mate. Good man, Tony Williams. Dave Brayford, rest in peace, Dave, he's dead. Dennis Haley, he's dead. Rest in peace, Dennis. You know, I mean, you live on with your son. Your son's exactly the same as you, Dennis, in so many ways. He loves you to death, mate. He always talking about you, Ben. Always, 24/7. He talks about his dad. How good his dad was, and what his dad done to him. His dad was in McClung here and there, you know what I mean? But that's Dennis. As I said, he never used to say too much. He was just a very, very hard man. Dennis Haley, a lot of people know Dennis Haley, let me know. Same as Dave Rayford on the comments. Jackie Lane, let me know about Jackie Lane. You had what was his, I forget his son's name now. But what was his son's? I forget his name now. But it was Jackie Green, Vicky Green. I mean, there was quite a few Greens going about, you know what I mean? Tommy Green and all that. But I mean, Tommy Green done a terrible thing. But I don't want to say that on my podcast. I did say it. It's not fair to the family, yeah, what he did. But he's in prison and he'll be in here for a bit longer, I think. I don't know if he's going to get. He will get out. He's got to get out. Eventually, get out. And you know, there's a guy just died. A very good friend of mine, Sid. But Sid, he used to live in the Crown in Acton. Sid could have it, mate. He run a few clubs, he run a few pubs, he could have it, Sid. I like Sid, mate, and I'd only just met him again, and you know, and then he dies. He left a good woman behind him, Carol, but you know, it's either one or the other that goes, isn't it? So, you know, rest in peace, Sid. I like old Sid, mate, nice man. We always have a laugh, very dangerous man, mate, in his years. He is, I mean, he could drive a motor, mate. He could drive a motor, Sid. The guy that I'm with now, Terry, he's the worst driver in the world. He's the worst, good. I mean, he's a fantastic driver. You know, he can get out a bit dangerous, mate. You've only got to put a certain record on that radio, and he's gone like a rocket, you know. But every time it comes on, I turn it off. Anyway, it's not about now; it's about then, yeah. But as I said, there's a lot of people in the ANCOR. I've seen quite a lot of fights in the ANCOR in Acton. I mean, Bolobridge Road, where we come from, Bolobridge Road. Listen, I think myself, right, personally, that the ANCOR in Acton was the hardest pub I've ever been to. I mean, I've been to a few pubs over certain manners. I mean, the Harp and Herring in Deptford, Deptford, was on par with it. But the ANCOR, everybody in the ANCOR was a raving nutcase. I'm telling you. Even the two birds behind the counter, Beryl and Joan and Beryl, two lesbians, they was as nutty as fruitcakes. They was dangerous. You don't want to luck about them two, mate. Especially Beryl. Beryl was the butcher one out of it. She would put a glass in your face. I was winking. Couple of times, George Young. There was George Young. Nice fella, George. I like George Young. He was a top man as well, and he was a very good hod carrier. I mean, he had a body like a god, all abs showing out, big muscles. You know what I mean? But wiry, yeah. George could have it. I mean, me and George fell out a few times. But anyway, another mate of mine who I fell out with was a guy called Terry Woods, blonde Terry, a good-looking guy, Terry Woods. Me and him fell out over a bit of work we done, and we went outside, and Terry smashed me around a gaff for about 5 minutes. Good boxer, Terry. And then I bashed him up, kicked him up. Well, I shouldn't have kicked him, and then smashed him. But that's fighting, isn't it? But he smashed my face to pieces, really. I mean, he can really box, this guy, yeah. But I just had to bash him up. And me and Terry go back a long way. Me and Terry was in a fruit market together. I mean, Colin Cracknell, he originates from Acton. He originates from Bolobridge Road. Colin Cracknell, Colin, I should imagine, was one of the hardest men that I've really ever met, really, as far as a kid, you know, like as a young kid. I mean, he would fight anybody. and did fight anybody, and he'd always win, Colin. He could box and he could punch. You know, that's what it's about. It's the boxing and the punching. I mean, just not jab your head to death, but when he hit you with the right hand, mate, it was over. I mean, me and him had a fight in Acton I, and it was my own show. It was a good show with a guy called Bob Coleman, and we had quite a few fights there. Danny Chippendale, Colombo, lots of my mates was there. Fault was boxed as well, and there was a good show. I'm gonna get the actual show place thing and show you the names on it. Anyway, and me and Colin boxing now. Colin anyway. Listen, at the minute, just other things got to talk about. So look, this is Bang Bang My Hill. Please like and subscribe, and thank you very much. Later, bye bye.